In this video tutorial, I will explain what a capacitor is, what its basic structure is, and what its purpose is. Let's start the video. Welcome to Star Technology 5G. A capacitor is the most frequently used component in electronics. Its basic structure is very simple. It consists of two plates parallel to each other and very close together. The plates are made of a conductive material like aluminum, tantalum, silver, or other metals. They're each connected to a terminal wire, which is what eventually connects to the rest of the circuit. The two plates are separated by an insulating material called the dielectric. In many types of capacitors, this is a thin sheet of plastic, but some capacitors have a dielectric made of air, paper, glass, rubber, ceramic, or other insulating material that will impede the flow of current. How does a capacitor work? A capacitor stores energy in the form of an electrostatic field between its plates. The dielectric insulating layer does not allow DC current to flow through as it blocks it, instead enabling a voltage to be present across the plates in the form of an electric charge. Capacitors can give off energy much faster than batteries can, resulting in a much higher power density than batteries with the same amount of energy. When connected to a cell or other DC power supply with the capacitor, initially, the switch is open and the plates are uncharged. When the switch is closed, the cell does work to transfer electron charges. The charges get stuck on the plates because they can't get past the insulating dielectric. Electron-negatively charged particles are sucked into one of the plates, and it becomes overall negatively charged. The large mass of negative charges on one plate pushes away charges on the other plate, making it positively charged. The positive and negative charges on each of these plates attract each other because that's what opposite charges do. But, with the dielectric sitting between them, as much as they want to come together, the charges will forever be stuck on the plate. The charge will continue until the potential difference across the plates is equal to the potential difference across the battery. Result: a capacitor stores energy as well as charge. Suppose that we now disconnect the capacitor from the cell. The plates remain charged as before, and there is still a potential difference between them, equal to the original potential difference of the cell. The electrons on one plate remain attracted to the positively charged atoms of the other plate. Once a capacitor has been charged, it holds its charge for a very long time, for hours, or even for months. In time, it will become discharged, perhaps by slight leakage of current through the dielectric or when charged ions in the air come into contact with the terminal wires. Charging and discharging of capacitors. This graph shows how a capacitor charges or discharges. The charging and discharging of a capacitor are never instant. When we connect a voltage source to the capacitor, the current flows through the capacitor, the charge builds up rapidly, and the voltage across the capacitor begins to rise. The charge will continue to rise until the voltage across the capacitor is equal to the voltage source. When the voltage source is disconnected, the capacitor will not discharge rapidly. The voltage across the capacitor is discharged very slowly. In theory, it never reaches zero, but in practice, it reaches zero due to leakage of current through the dielectric and when charged ions in the air come into contact with the terminal wires. How to find the capacitance of the capacitor? The parallel plate capacitor is the simplest theoretical and practical arrangement, and its capacitance value for ideal conditions is easy to calculate. For example, if we have a parallel plate capacitor. For a pair of parallel plates of equal area, A. Plate separation is D. That is the dielectric material's relative permittivity. The capacitance is given by C equal to permittivity of free space, relative permittivity, plate A, divide by separation, D. Example. Find the capacitance between two parallel plates of 2 cm by 1.5 m, spaced by a 0.2 mm layer of material with a relative permittivity value of 15. According to the given value, separation D is 0.2 mm. The parallel plate area is 2 cm by 1.5 meters. The relative permittivity value is 15. C equal to permittivity of free space. Relative permittivity. Plate A. Divide by separation, D. A is equal to 0.02 by 1.5 m square. D is equal to 0.2 by 10 millimeters. The permittivity of free space has a fixed value of 8.84 times 1012 farads per meter. Relative permittivity is 15. C is equal to relative permittivity multiplied by the permittivity of free space multiplied by plate area. Divide by separation. The capacitance of the capacitor is 0.02 microfarad. Capacitors are available in different shapes and sizes according to the manufacturing materials. According to the polarity of the capacitor, it can be divided into two types: polarized capacitor and non-polarized capacitor. Polarized capacitor. These are certain types of capacitors that have specific positive and negative polarities. As you can see in the 3D model, this terminal is positive, and this terminal is the negative. This line indicates that this terminal is negative, and this smaller terminal also indicates the negative terminal. This is the polarized capacitor symbol. This curved side indicates the negative terminal. The other side is the positive terminal. While using these capacitors in circuits, it should always be taken care that they are connected in perfect polarities. Non-polarized capacitor. A non-polarized capacitor is a type of capacitor that is not polarized, which means it has neither positive polarity nor negative polarity. So it can be connected in any direction within a circuit. As you can see in this 3D model, there is no indication of the negative and positive terminal. You can connect this type of capacitor in either direction. This is the non-polarized capacitor symbol. There is no curve on either side of the capacitor. Electrolytic capacitor. An electrolytic capacitor is a type of capacitor that uses an electrolyte to achieve a larger capacitance than other capacitor types. An electrolyte is a liquid or gel containing a high concentration of ions. Almost all electrolytic capacitors are polarized. If we remove the upper cover of the capacitor, there is an aluminum foil and a paper or plastic roll. These aluminum foils and a paper spacer were soaked in electrolyte. This is a rubber cover to avoid the oil leakage of the capacitor. If we unroll the capacitor, this is made of 2 aluminum foils and a paper or plastic spacer soaked in electrolyte. This is one piece of plastic or paper that provides spacer between 2 metals. This is aluminum foil. This is another plastic or paper that provides a spacer between 2 metals. This is another piece of aluminum foil. One of the 2 aluminum foils is covered with an oxide layer, and that foil acts as the anode, while the uncoated acts as a cathode. To provide an electrical connection to the circuit, a wire is connected to each aluminum foil. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to Star Technology. Please like and share the video.